Hello, and welcome to another episode of Intune.training, the place to learn how to use Microsoft Intune, the Steve and Adam Show. Hey, I'm Adam.
Hey, I'm Steve.
So this one's a little bit different. We're sitting next to each other because Steve's hanging out at my place for a couple of days.
Yep.
And, well, this is going to be an odd one. As you've probably seen on most of our videos, we've kind of not necessarily had most successful demos, and also we've kind of run with the technical difficulties and things like that because, well, honestly, we just want to produce good content. We want to get the actual content, the technical pieces to you more than we're focused on trying to polish this, because there's a lot of information to share and we have very limited time and resources to do this. As such, the video you're about to watch is currently sitting at somewhere around 100 and something minutes long. Not 100.
Hour and 40.
Yeah, an hour and 40 minutes start to finish.
So actually about 100 minutes.
Yeah. So, and this is going to add a little buffer to the beginning of that.
Yep.
But we felt like it was maybe worth adding this intro. So what you're going to want to do is, or what we did is we tried to show how to do Windows Hello for Business. And, well, we struggled on numerous occasions, and I think we ended up with somewhere around 6 hours worth of recorded video over the course of 3 weekends. And we finally said, okay, fine, I figured out how to get it working, and I recorded a working demo, which you can find at somewhere around the 1 hour and 15 minute mark at this point.
Yeah, it'd be about that.
We'll put the exact link down below, but this intro is going to shift that for us just a little bit. So if you want to just skip all the rambling and the banter back and forth and
us failing it and
all of that sort of stuff
last week,
then you can definitely jump forward to just see how it's done. But if you'd like to get the rest of the story, get the background information and all of the discussion that goes along with it, it may be worth taking a look at the whole video. So we'd like to leave it up to you as the viewer to decide what you'd like to do. But we felt like we put the time in, and we felt like there was a lot of good discussion that went through it, and you got to see the struggles and the complications and things. And so we felt like it's probably worth leaving it in for you. So you have the option to jump forward to that point. So that's really it. Just kind of wanted to give you an option. So buckle in and enjoy the ride. So at this point, it's going to be the 1 hour and 16, almost 17 minute mark.
And thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Thanks, Dad.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Intune.training, the place to learn Microsoft Intune, the Steve and Adam Show. Hey, I'm Adam.
Hey, I'm Steve.
Hey, Steve, how's it going, man?
Pretty good, Adam. Yourself?
Oh, doing great. I'm very, very excited. We get to get down into some really fun stuff today. I think this is going to be one of those light bulb moment type episodes today.
I
So I always spill the beans, but I think you should tell us, what are we going to talk about today?
So the one we're going to talk about today is around Windows Hello for Business. And what we're saying when we're talking about Windows Hello for Business, this is all around using the PIN to sign into your computer, using the biometrics, using the fingerprint. But the big one that I think is the most important around this is making sure you don't have to change your password that often. That's the whole big reason why we're doing this Windows Hello for Business, because you get a password or a PIN for each device. And I think it's fantastic, but there's one major problem that we've found, and that's if you haven't set up your Active Directory and AAD in the hybrid key trust, we start having issues where you have to authenticate to servers. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to go and demonstrate the issue that we're talking about. So if you want to sign into that VM there, Adam, with your PIN.
And before we get too deep in this, so this is to set up the framework for our session. So we've been working within a cloud first type environment where we're all Intune, and today we have switched over to my my lab, and so my lab is a on-prem lab with config manager and a domain controller and a CA and all of those things. So I've got on-prem resources that I need to still continue to access, even though I'm going to have devices that are now Azure AD only joined. The device currently that we're on is an AAD joined VM, and it's joined to our Intune tenant, to my Intune tenant, not the one we've been using, but it's same. And it's also on the business network, so it's on the same network as the resources that we are attempting to connect to. If the device was not on that same network, we wouldn't be able to get to it unless it had VPN. So just want to set that framework for us beginning this demo. So so I've now signed in to my Azure AD joined VM with my PIN, and so I think you were going to get me to browse to a resource. So I'm going to try to get to my oh, see, look, our Windows needs our current credentials. Doesn't like that. So I'm just going to try to browse to one of my servers.
Your CCM server for everybody's reference.
Yes.
And we're just trying to connect. And what you'll see here is we're now getting prompted for authentication. And this is where if Adam was to hit more choices and type in the domain name / username and password, it'll work. The other alternative in this scenario is if we'll hit cancel on this one for us, Adam. And we're just going to sign out and sign in just using the password. So what's actually happening under the hood is where you, in simple terms, when we're using Hello for Business, it's using modern authentication, which is OAuth 2, while when we're using the password, it's using a legacy authentication protocol that's more congruent with the actual domain controllers being there. So now if we go to the same server,
change the way that we've logged in, and you can see it was already doing a suggestion to us, and here we are. And here's all of our
exactly the same server path,
information,
which is pretty crazy, right? So what we're going to go through today is how we make it so we can use the Windows Hello for Business all the way through the PIN and everything associated. So
now, before we go down the route too far, I'd like to stop here because, what just occurred here, I think, is one of these aha moments already that if you've been messing with this, if you've been tinkering with it, thinking, should I use Azure AD join? I can't get to on-prem resource. We didn't do, we are using Azure AD Connect, and we're synchronizing user accounts and passwords using I'm using password hash sync, and so my accounts are in both places. They're on-prem and they're synchronized up to Azure to my tenant. But that's it. And so just by doing that, I've got an Azure AD join device that is essentially using synced credentials that work on-prem, and so it's just passing those credentials through to the on-prem resource using, as Steven mentioned, the legacy auth to be able to do that. So so if you wanted to continue to use a password, you could, but I guess the discussion we're having is why would we want to switch over? If I'm already using a password, now I don't have to do any extra work here, and you've kind of already touched on it a bit, is being able to switch over to the PIN over the password. And I think that's probably that managerial discussion, that selling point that is difficult to convince organizations to make that leap. And I know that you do this every day. So how are you convincing people to move from password to PIN, and why it's worth the hassle and the effort to go through this?
To make a very simple story about it is, look, the people that actually want to use the Windows Hello for Business technology, so the facial recognition to sign into the computer, the fingerprint reader, these are the executives, these are the senior managers that are at the customer site, and they're sitting there and going, well, I can do it at home, why can't I do it at work? And this is becoming more and more a prevalent conversation around, well, why can't we do it at work? What's stopping us? oh, it's a security concern. Well, it's actually more secure using the biometrics and using the pins and everything associated. And it sounds pretty crazy, right? When we're sitting there and saying, but I'm not using my password. And it's like, well, yeah, because we're using a different way of authenticating, and each device will now have its own password. And why that's important to call out and make a big point about is, look, every device now does have its own password for your account. It's a trusted device. At one point or another, there has been an attestation between your device and AAD and saying, yep, we trust it, not a problem. And this is where you can then start getting there and saying, look, you don't need to expire your passwords every 30 days. You can say, I'm going to expire them every 12 months, because rather than typing in your password 100 times a day, 20 times a day, depending on if you're an admin or not, you're going to be sitting there and typing in your password maybe once a month, once a quarter, or only when you go to certain websites. And that's where...
And that's basically because you've got the device, so we know things about the device. So the device, the TPM chip, basically on the device, along with your domain credentials that you do actually type in when you first configure your workstation. So if you've watched our autopilot video, or if you just spun up a new machine and you go through Ubi and you put in your business credentials, you do have to put in your domain password at that point. The next step, like you're suggesting, is that it asks you for a PIN.
Yep.
That PIN isn't a new PIN you're creating that gets synced. That PIN is unique to the device. So now I've got, a TPM that's specific to the machine, and a password and a PIN combination, or then you add the biometrics. You have the facial or the fingerprint.
Yep.
And so you have all of those different factors that are combined together to create a secure token for this particular device with this particular combination of credentials to authenticate to your network resources.
Yep, exactly right. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I mean, all the pieces are coming together. I really like it.
Yep.
So I'm going to sign out of our workstation, and then we're going to jump over to this guy.
So what we've got out on the internet is this awesome blog from Scott Duffy. He's a program manager at Microsoft on the Intune and SCCM team.
Go find him out on the Twitter.
Yeah, make sure you find him on the Twitter.
Scott Duff.
At Scott Duff, and we'll put his links in the feed. But Scott's gone and created this great blog explaining how to set up the hybrid AD key trust scenario, which we're talking about today. And this is where we're not putting a certificate on the device, we're just putting a certificate on the domain controller. We're making it a super simple process. And this is something that we'll include in that link that we have on the article of this is how we're actually doing this. So as you can see on the image there, we're going to be going for the first one in the list, which is that hybrid AD key trust. It's the rock star. It's going to do everything we need. It's device registered in AAD, no certificate deployed to the device, even though we can with SCEP really easily. And it needs at least one 2016 domain controller. That's it. And that.
Hey, I've got a 2016 domain controller. Let's do it.
And the interesting thing is, it doesn't actually need to have the 2016 domain controller. All it needs to have is the 2016 schema version for Active Directory to make this work, and that's supported.
But you should probably also get your domain controllers upgraded, just saying.
Please don't do this on a 2008 R2 server.
Come on. Scratch out or ignore what Steven just said. It requires a 2016 domain controller. Tell your boss that. Do the upgrade.
Do the upgrade. Go 2019.
Any excuse to keep your things current. Stop making excuses to keep them out of currency. Come on. This is ridiculous.
Exactly.
All right. So we have already prepped some of the components in our environment, but we are going to walk through this next part. So we're going to at least show you some of these things, how you would verify these in your environment, and then we will work through step 2 to create the certificate. And we are fingers crossed, hoping that this live demo succeeds, because we haven't actually done this step yet. So because we just didn't want to corrupt our environment.
Yep.
So the first thing we're going to go do is we're going to go to Azure AD Connect, and you would go in. So first you need to configure Azure AD Connect, and you need to enable either password hash synchronization or pass-through auth. So in my instance here, I believe we're using password hash. So I've got Azure AD Connect on my domain controller, which I've just flipped over to. So when you're setting up the wizard initially, it doesn't look like this. This is after it's already built. And then you would come in and you'd go to change user sign-in.
So it's very important to note there's two things around AAD Connect here. Please install it on a domain member server. So I've had a couple of customers where they've installed it on a standalone server. This won't work for you, and we'll have to rebuild it into a member server. And the other important thing to note is when this console is open, it is not synchronizing. So
yes,
that's really important. If you're going to make any changes in here, make them quick, close it out, otherwise you're stopping synchronization of Azure Active Directory to your environment, and people will have issues eventually.
I would also like to point out that I get the feeling that some folks set up Azure AD Connect initially and just do the wizard, and then have no idea that all of this other stuff exists, specifically the synchronization service. And we're not going to go into this at all. So anyway, you can go into your Azure AD Connect synchronization service and see all the pieces, and you can configure other options and things inside there. I'm not going to show that because some of that is live things. So yeah.
Yep.
Oops. All right. So back to password. So you can see in my environment here, I've already got password hash synchronization enabled, and I've also got single sign-on enabled. And so I'm just going to cancel out of the wizard here, and it will go ahead and re-enable the sync. And according to the blog, the next thing that we want to do is we want to go to ADSI. Actually, we want to go to Active Directory users and computers.
So it's important to note the next step actually in the blog post is talking about turning on device registration. That's already done by default, and the only time you may have issues with that is if your AAD Connect was installed a long while ago and you just need to validate that that has been initialized.
Yes. And sorry, we are skipping a few of the steps in the blog, so follow the blog. Don't necessarily follow the video. At least for these parts, because we've already pre-configured some of this. Yep. Sorry. Okay, so all we did was we went into key admins, and we went to members, and we've added the Azure AD Connect user.
Yep.
And that's it. And we've done that, and then we'll go into ADSI edit.
And when we're opening up ADSI edit, rather than opening the default naming context, we're going to be connecting to the configuration container, and that's going to make sure that we have access to the information that we need. And what we're checking here is under services. We're looking for the device registration configuration, and we can see that there's a big GUID there. That explains what's going on.
Yep, so as long as that's there, we are in good shape.
Yep.
And so then the next bit, this is going to be a fun one. We're going to do side by side here, I think.
Yep.
Does that still show up okay for you on the recording side?
That's not too bad.
Okay. So we're just going to go side by side. Do I?
Cool. So the next step is that we're going to go and create a new template for our domain controllers on the certificate authority. And this one here is about turning on the Kerberos part of the certificate authority. So we go in here and no, we need to cancel out of that one.
Copy the domain controller.
And you need to right click on the certificate template on the left hand side and go to view, and you want to manage. Sorry. And that will open up the certificate template editor page. In here we then want to find the domain controller template, and we want to copy that.
Okay.
No, oh yeah, that's right, yeah, perfect. So then if we go to the General tab and give it a template name of Domain Controller Authentication Kerberos.
Alrighty.
On the compatibility page, we want to make sure it's at least 2012. Yep. Was it 2016 already? Sorry, Adam.
No?
Okay. What was it? Yeah, that's fine.
I've got to change both.
Yep, so
That's fine. It's just changing. It's just alerting us that it's changing the template.
perfect.
All
Now
right,
we
we're
need
good there.
to change the subject name to DNS.
These pictures are really small over there. Okay, it is already DNS.
Perfect.
Good.
And then we need to set cryptography to SHA-256. Yep. I think it's the other one in the drop down there.
What's this here? There we go.
Yep, perfect. So it's very important to mention this. SHA-256 is what you need to use across the board here. If you're using anything higher than SHA-256, it will fail. We had a customer have this issue. And then you can also go to the supersede templates on that one.
Sorry.
That's right. And you can put domain controller and domain controller authentication. Okay, and add, yeah. Perfect. So that will supersede any of the other certificates. So now we just need to go and update this certificate on the domain controller.
All right. So we close out of this guy.
Yep.
This. And we should.
We need to issue that certificate. If you don't issue it, you're not going to be able to use it. Just a word of warning.
Jeez. And there it is.
Cool. So now if we go to that domain controller, Adam.
I am on it.
Perfect. So on there we now need to go to, let's just go the lazy way around it and just open up certificate authority and manage certificates on the server. But if you have a large number of servers, what you can do is you can update the group policy to push that out. But in this scenario, we're just going to go to the personal on the domain controller, and we are going to go and request a new certificate. So Adam, could we get you to put that into the middle of the screen for me?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
What's that?
Yep, perfect. So now we just need to select the domain controller Kerberos certificate. Yep, perfect. And we just hit enroll. And that will go through and enroll that certificate on your device, on the server I should say. And it should just work then. So it should be there.
Somewhere over here.
Yep.
That one.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, there it is.
Cool. So with that certificate on there, theoretically, we should be able to just go straight back to our workstation, sign in with the PIN, and it should then authenticate. And if it doesn't, we give it a restart and then try.
And as Stephen mentioned in the blog post there's information on using the GPO to push this out to your domain controllers.
And it's got extensive troubleshooting steps in there. So if for whatever reason it doesn't work exactly as you expect on your computer or in your environment, Scott's got some great doco in there. So we'll just get you to restart your computer there, Adam.
Almost.
Well, I'm guessing it's because we haven't gone and renewed that token and have it register into the user object.
Everything needs a reboot.
Yes. because you need to recycle everything.
It's just better that way.
Yes.
Yes, please recycle. It's good for the environment. It's good for your computer.
That's right.
We should start a new initiative. It'd be great.
Yes, we should. Please recycle your computer into Stephen Adams' labs.
It could have two meanings, you know, recycle it and then recycle it when you're done.
That's right.
Please work, please work, please work.
So the
Boo.
important thing to note, yeah, we haven't actually fully tested this. So I'm guessing you might not have set up your URL for your CRL, Adam?
Maybe. Is that on my CA here?
Yes, that is on your certificate authority.
Thought that I had one. Where should we go?
So what we need to do is just go to, if we go back to the certificates on the device, rather than certificate authority, so if we just go to file...
Oh, on the device itself?
On the domain controller, sorry.
Okay, sorry, yeah. Where are we going? This up here?
Yeah, we just want to go to MMC if we can.
Okay.
At least we've continued our streak of unsuccessful demos.
I would have been disappointed if we
Yeah.
had done otherwise.
So what we're going to do is now connect to your certificates for the computer. And we're going to go and look at the certificate we just created.
Should be this one.
Scroll across to the right, it'll tell you the template that was used. Authentication.
This one.
Yep, that's the one. So if you go to details and scroll down until you see certificate revocation or CRL Distribution Point. So the issue here is we need to add in on the certificate authority the URL to the CA to be able to get the revocation list. So that's a really important thing to make sure you do. We could quickly do that if you want, Adam, if you've got iOS on the domain controller there.
I do.
Cool. So the CRL is the certificate revocation list. This is where AD will go and check to see if the certificates that are being used to authenticate have expired. So we've got that there. What we're going to do is in the certificate authority, Adam.
We need to jump back over to that, right?
Yep, which is already open down the bottom.
Or, yeah, it is.
Yep.
There we go.
And there we are there. If we go to the ASD lab right at the top, right click and go to properties. And then under extensions. And we're going to add in here a new one called for HTTP. And you can put an alias there if you're wanting an alias, but you can also put the full server name if you want. So this is where what we do traditionally is do http://crl.domain/crl and the path to the actual CRL file itself.
What's the extension we're going to give it?
So, well, actually, what we need to do for the variable name, so if you delete the CRL first.
Lots of CRLs in there.
Yep, so we do slash.
Here, okay.
Sorry.
Yep.
CRL slash, and then in the variable name, hit the drop down list. Actually, CA is the correct one. Yep. So you
and then we just insert.
And then what we do
magic.
is dot CRL at the end.
Okay.
So then what we're doing here is we're just saying, and we'll create a CNAME record to point CRL to your domain controller, and away it will go. And then I believe you need to put it into include in the certificate, which is the one below it. And then also up the top where it has select extensions, select the drop down and select the AIA and do the same.
And we're doing HTTP?
Yes,
not
Yep, because we don't we'd then have to put a certificate in front of it, and it becomes this whole revolving cycle of do we trust it, do we not trust it.
I see.
And you want to include, yep, perfect.
All right.
Yep. Fantastic. So now in IIS, actually, yeah, go to DNS first, and we're going to create that CNAME record in the forward lookup zone called CRL. And we're going to point it to your domain controller.
Let's hope I got that right, huh? Yeah, that's the one. Okay.
Perfect. Click OK, so that's there. And then in here, we're just going to create a virtual directory, and we're going to point it.
That's right. Add a virtual directory.
We're going to call it CRL, and the physical path is going to be C Windows System 32 certain role.
No, cert log. Next one.
Cert server, sorry. And then I think that's the path we need. And then we can put a username on there. So this is where we can start putting some stuff around how we get access to this. Sometimes you wouldn't necessarily set it up this way. You can have it so when the CRL is created and generated, it gets put into a set folder on the server, and it's not going to be your default certificate enrollment location. So this is just we're being lazy. It's the
Well, and Adam only has one user account in the lab that's worth anything, so that one will be the one we use.
Perfect.
Excellent.
So then what we'll do is if we can browse to that address and just see how it works out. And there should
Hey!
be, there's our CRL there.
Look at things. I like it.
Pretty cool, right? So
Very
what
nice.
we need to do on the domain controller is delete that certificate we created and do a new request.
And I'm glad this didn't work, Stephen, because I remember at Ignite last year that Mike Niehaus mentioned this.
Yes.
And he mentioned that you needed it, and then he said something about HTTP and CRL, and I was like, what? And then I never put the pieces together. And this is great. I like it. Okay, so we've requested a new one, and so let's reboot our machine again.
Actually, we requested a new one. Yep, perfect. So what we'll do while that's rebooting is if we go back to the domain controller and look at that new certificate, and we'll just make sure that that CRL revocation list is on there. And it should be the certificate that was issued today. Yep, that's the one. And it's double.
I always do the wrong.
It's open, not properties, which is weird.
So weird.
And then CRL, and you should now have a URL there. How cool is that?
Dude. Dude. I know what I'm doing in production next week.
Yep.
That's the magic bullet right there.
Yes, it is.
All right, here we go. Come on. It's not working. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Give it a minute. The VM's still thinking.
No.
All right. Is there anything on the VM that we should look at?
The one thing that I'd be thinking to look at on the VM, actually, yes, there is. Can we go to dsregcmd?
Oh, now they're getting all my info about my tenant.
Sorry. But what we should see down near the bottom, there is a... there should be a key trust. Okay, so you need to run it as admin.
See, I was trying to not run everything as admin in this demo, just to show that you didn't have to, but clearly.
Well,
It's always
that's what
been
you do, unfortunately.
Err on the side of caution. Always run as admin. Hey,
right.
key sign test passed.
Okay. So if this that should work. Alright.
Is there anything that will show up here that will tell us anything
The
useful?
only thing that I'd be thinking that we may need to do is put get the trusted root on your VM, because it won't be there by default because we're not issuing that out. So you just need to export it off your domain controller and import it onto this server on this PC.
Well, so I guess let me ask this question then.
Actually,
Doesn't that make it this then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sort of.
It's kind of what I feel like.
Yes. No, you're right. It should work. I'm guessing what it may well be is that we've missed a step somewhere in our haste. Is the device Intune enrolled?
It is.
Okay.
It is indeed.
Yes. All right. Let's just say follow Scott's blog, which details and explains it really well, because nobody wants to watch us try and troubleshoot this, really.
We're so close. It's so
We are.
close.
We are.
Oh, I feel like... Okay, so we're going to maybe cut the video right here.
Okay.
And if we do, and it's an abrupt cut, you'll know we couldn't solve this. But we're going to persevere on camera and hopefully get it in the next few minutes.
Let's do it.
Because we like living on the edge.
Yes, we do.
All right. So, maybe we should have tested this.
If you go to... Can you run the dsreg command again for me?
Mm-hmm.
As admin.
As Adam admin. Okay.
As Adam out. /status. Yeah. And then what we're looking for is the ngc prereq check, if that still exists in it. Yep. Yes. Device ineligibility. Policy enabled. Interesting. So that should all be working.
Should I do like cert util pulse or something and get a new... Shouldn't have to, right?
No. That should be working without any issues. What are we missing? Alright, what we'll do is on the domain controller, can we delete the domain controller certificate? Not the one that we just created, but the other one. And then I know what it is. Yep, delete that. And then what we're going to do is recycle the domain controller service on the domain controller. Because remember, it's a certificate and we need to tell it to change the certificate.
Oh, yeah.
So
you just restart the server? Or
yeah, otherwise you can go into services and restart the service itself in there.
We're going to keep up with the theme of recycling.
Yes.
Have your computers spayed and neutered. No, that's the other thing. That's Bob Barker's thing. I mean, this is, if you've made it this far, I mean, I'm going to figure it out because I want to make this work because this is fantastic. And I mean, I mentioned Ignite last year. So I remember sitting in it was one of the Sunday session, the pre-day session. And it was the whole desktop deep dive thing. It was a non-recorded thing. And it really summed up the desktop content that was coming out for the week of Ignite all in one really deep dive session.
Yep.
And it was great Q&A and everything. So if you're going to Ignite and you see this video before Ignite 2019, you should make sure you sign up and get into those if possible, because those are great sessions.
Yep, that's
so
controller.
Oh, that's right. I was sitting here wondering why I don't have the pen. I was like, no.
I broke it. All right, so.
But I mean, I was so excited about it then that I just was. I said, man, I really, really, really need to do this, and we just. It was that we kept having this question, like how do we do this, and when he showed, there's this, all you have to do is this, and magic happens. I went back to work. I said, we can do it. Well, how? Well, I'm not really sure, but he did it. I watched it. Just haven't ever had the chance to get back to it. So this is awesome.
Yep.
I'm so excited.
And this is 6-digit pin, not the 4.
Thank you.
And this is what it's all about. This is the connecting the dots that we're wanting to do with this session, because these are things that people are starting and sitting there and going, how do I do this? Microsoft says I can, but I just can't work it out. So like for us, it took us 8 months to find this blog post and get it all in there. And when you look at it, you'll see that Scott actually published it in December 2017.
Yeah, that's just even more nuts.
Yep.
Oh, it's still not liking us.
Maybe.
I wonder if it keeps telling us it needs my new credentials. I wonder what that's all about. Try that.
Don't know. Well, you haven't changed your password, so it's fine. And I get that all the time on my computer, and I don't have this issue.
Oh, okay. Well.
What we can do, Adam, is if we go to ADSI edit again for me.
Right. Come on, little guy.
Oh, hang on, no, we want to go to LDP. Because we need to look in the LDAP.
This guy?
Yep, this guy. And we want to connect. No, so if you go up to browse, I think it is, or connections, bind on the connection, and yep, click OK, and it should bind it to, what's the step like? If we go to view, I think it is, or browse, it might, view tree, and put your base, yep. And then what we want to do, Adam, is find your user object.
Oh, I'm probably in lab.
And then what we're going to be looking for is there should be an MD5.
Sorry, not the right account. I don't think that was the right account. That didn't look right.
It didn't.
It's the only one I've got.
That's not right. Unless you've renamed default administrator to your account now.
That would be
Can we
silly.
Can we do a search? and fun.
I have moved lots of things around and done silly things in here, so who knows?
Search.
No, that's the one. Okay.
Alright, so if we go back up, there it is there. And there should be an MD5, MDS key, credential, variable, parameter. And it's not there. So that's the problem. It's not actually binding to that certificate correctly in the AD and connecting in correctly. Unless on your workstation, Adam, can we change the pin that we've got on there?
I'm wondering if we should change the account that we're using.
Let's just start with...
Yes, we can do all of those things.
So we go to settings.
So maybe you have to set the pin after you've done the thing. It's not gonna let me use the same one, is it? It is. Did you know it lets you use the same pen? Wow. All right.
So now if we go back to the LDP and redouble click on that, and it didn't process it and bring it up. All right.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the account that we're using.
Okay, can we confirm that it's the same account?
Yeah. It's not the same.
That would be the issue.
Well, it's that's my local account.
Yeah, see, no, it's a different account. Because it was your lab account. Yeah. And that's looking a bit better.
Yeah, but I'm not entirely sure that this user account is in Intune.
It's okay.
Is the problem?
Intune's not
Or
the
I don't think it has
important
Intune license.
Yeah, the Intune's not an important part at this point.
Okay. So if you're still with us, I only have Intune licenses are expensive, and these videos aren't sponsored. Hey, if you want to sponsor,
maybe we should set up Patreon.
Yeah, I've only got one Intune license, and so I've only got one account, and that's the one I'm using. So when I joined the machine to Azure AD, when I was doing Ubi, that's the account that I used, which is the one we're using. I should really name my lab account a different username so that I don't have this happen again, because this is awfully confusing.
Yes.
I mean, I did put lab at the end so I would remember, but it's just been a while. So sorry. But I mean, I think it's cool because I don't know that I've ever opened this tool. I still don't know what we're looking at, but
so this is the LDAP object for what you're seeing for that object in AAD. So it's looking at the schema of the actual device, of the user object, and telling you all of the configuration. So while you can do it with attributed editor, it doesn't actually resolve some of these configuration settings that you see there.
Okay.
Whereas this will.
Good to know.
But yeah, it's pretty cool, and hopefully this will load up and it'll just work, because you don't need Intune for this component to work. That's the important part to stress. While yes, this is the Intune training video, you don't need this setting to make it work. You don't need Intune to make Windows Hello for Business work. It's a OS layer, but it's something that we come across quite often when we're doing cloud first deployments, where we have customers sitting there and going, oh, I have to do hybrid AD join because I need to be able to authenticate to this legacy application, this legacy file share. It's like, well, is your computer doing the authentication? Because if the computer's doing authentication, I've got bigger concerns. But if it's the user doing the authentication, then what does it matter if it's on the domain or not?
Yeah.
And you start bringing that sort of logic to the conversation, and people start sitting there and going, oh yeah, you're right, so why is it not working? And that's when you spend the time working out and fixing that and coming up with these solutions and making sure it's there. So did you know, Adam, that Windows stays up to date to help protect you in an online world?
We are the same person. I was waiting for you to take a breath. Well, yeah, duh. I'll just take a minute and tell you, if you're interested in keeping Windows up to date, you should look at Windows feature updates, and you should look at doing them using Setupconfig.ini.
Yeah.
I happen to know a guy who wrote a blog. Actually, I'm the guy who wrote a blog, several blogs on doing that. So, if you're sitting here waiting and doing the same thing, check it out. It's squaredozen.com. It's a couple of cool posts there.
I believe you're actually presenting on that soon, aren't you, Adam? Or is that something else?
No, I've presented on it twice. I was going to do another. We'll see. They have postponed the user group, the next user group on that. But then no, I'm presenting at MMS Jazz Edition right after the week after Ignite. I've got 4 sessions there. So
a day and a half.
Yeah, and in a day, 3 sessions the first day. I'm going to be speaking for close to 6 hours consecutively. So I'm excited, talking about advanced OSD task sequence things. I'm talking about config manager best practices, doing a doc session with Aaron Jakowski from, I'm sure I butchered his name, we'll see, Aaron CZ from the docs, the config manager docs team. And what's the third one? Oh, yes, the config manager admin service, WMI over HTTPS. It's going to be amazing.
Yes.
So, yeah, you probably won't see this video before Jazz sells out. I know the hotels have already sold out, so the conference sellout is probably looming. But, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
And Steve's going to be there too.
Yes.
And we're going to be doing some live video and stuff.
So I'm going to be both at Microsoft Ignite and MMS Jazz. Thankfully, I'm not speaking at either of them, although I really would love to next time, guys. Just putting my hand up and go, I'll speak.
It'll be similar to this in quality.
No, it'll be better. We'll have
no demos. Don't do demos.
Well, no, we'll have like put our best foot forward and tested it, and then forgotten to clean it up, and it doesn't work quite properly, and then the demo gods get angry with us, and by demo gods I mean Brian. Sorry, Brian.
Nobody knows what Brian you're talking about, but Brian does. If he wants. He would have had to sit here and watch us painstakingly watch this advertisement go by here on the Windows.
Because it's taking a little bit longer than expected.
Just a little bit. I think it must be going out to the interwebs and getting some bits and pieces.
Well, what it's actually doing at this point, and this is actually a cool segue, right? So what it's actually doing at this point is installing the AppX, or the Store for Business the Store applications onto your computer. So each user object has a different copy of, say, Calculator or Photos or any of those applications installed in their user context. So when you're going through this phase here, it's actually installing each of those applications and downloading the latest version from the internet to get those settings. I think you
say that with such enthusiasm, and yet I think most people, when they hear you say that, will be like, "What?"
Yeah, I know. But I think it's awesome because it's one less thing I have to maintain.
Thank you. Preach.
But there is if you go and use the shared PC settings, you can actually suppress or make this shorter and say, all right, so it's only, I think it's like fast switching. There's a couple of settings you can set that will make it so it will actually sign onto the computer quicker and then install all of those applications in the background while after the user signed in. So it's really designed for meeting rooms and places where you have a short period of time to have people signing into the computer, because there's a good chance they're not going to use any of the applications that are being installed. Whereas in most cases, we don't know what you're going to use first. You may want to go straight into Calculator or Photos or any of the other applications, including Notepad in the new Insider build. And it won't let you actually open them up until it's installed. Or if there's...
Well, that's not the worst thing in the world.
Exactly. Or until there's internet connection there for you to download it while it's opening. So, much like we do with AppV and its streams. But this is taking a very, 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 very long time.
Yes. If the screen wasn't pulsing here, I would think we were frozen, but we are not.
No. It just doesn't like us today, Adam.
We could just stop talking and then prepare to cut this segment, cut this bit out.
We could.
In fact, we might just cut out everything we've talked about at this point and just fast forward to the end.
The audio, and then we just compress parts of the video and then make it look really good.
Then that would take editing and things, and neither one of us care to do that.
We'd have to do post-production.
I just want to thank you for sticking with us, the one person who's going to make it this far.
We'll be
I'm only sticking with it because I really want to see it work.
Yes. I love this technology, though. We've got this working at 3 or 4 customers now, and they are all loving it because it means that they don't have to think about, I have to re-authenticate, I have to have issues here. And this is all based on like the logon script that we're using to map network drives and printers, because that's the user experience that gets degraded. And that's 6 months ago. The conversation we were having with most of our customers was, okay, so we have to turn off Windows Hello for Business because otherwise you're going to get prompted to authenticate to file shares and printers and everything. And they're like, but we really want this feature. And it's like, well, you've got the option. You've got this experience or this experience. And they're always going to go for the one that's least impactful for the customer. So that's where this great feature comes in and helps everybody out.
Well, and so it seems like this would allow business. Well, okay, so help me on this one.
Yep.
If we were hybrid joined,
yes,
and we wanted to use Hello for Business,
yes,
we would still run into this issue.
I don't think so, because your object's registered and it knows how to get to the domain controller.
So it wouldn't care about me using a PIN.
That's correct, because it's using the on-prem key trust. Or it's using the on-prem authentication protocols that are already there. Actually, no, you will need to do a key trust, looking at the image that Scott's got in his blog.
This is really depressing that it's taking this long.
It really is. Anybody would think you had a slow laptop there, Adam.
But everybody knows that I don't.
That's right.
I mean, I could have put more than like a half a gig of RAM in this VM, but I mean...
I think you put 4 on there.
Yeah. I didn't know we were going to use it this hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Try Control Delete. See
No.
what happens.
Hold off.
Okay. You know, I could just spin up a brand new VM and side by side here and see which one wins.
It's probably like disk contention or something like that.
There's nothing else going on.
Domain controller. Is there a TP upgrade that's gone out?
No. I don't have anything going on. That's it. It's the whole deal. I mean, I guess I could turn these guys off. Oh, I should have used the shutdown. Whatever. Don't do what I just did. It's not good. This is fun.
Yes, yes it is. It's getting there.
Well, Steve, what did you have for lunch today?
I had a burger and chips.
Actually, I'm going to ask the more important question. Steve, what happened to your beard? We went the whole last episode and didn't even address this.
I know.
This is the same Steve that we started with, just in case you weren't sure.
The beard needed to go because it was getting a little bit long and a little bit annoying, and I was eating it every time I had a meal.
They make little trimmer thing. Look, see, I trim it.
Yeah, if I'm going to get the clippers out, it's going all the way. So the thinking is, look, it was 2 months before Ignite and MMS, so in 2 months I'll grow a really awesome beard and it'll be back by then.
Show off.
Yes, indeedy. And that's where the beard went. It just got cut off and disappeared. But I did keep my awesome locks of hair, and I may cut those off soon too, because I'm growing a really awesome mullet at the moment.
Nice. Hockey hair, man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the other option is that I grow it out really long and go for the top knot and tie it up and make it all look pretty.
Yeah, you go for that. Go ahead. All right, so wow, this is phenomenal. Yeah. Here we are, yet again. I mean, if I was the user, I would have already just killed this thing at this point.
Oh, same.
I mean, we could try it, see what happens. If like what you said,
Just hit restart.
Yeah.
May as well now at this point.
Look at that. Almost. Wow.
Task manager.
It didn't work.
Alt tab.
Onwards.
Let's just
Negative. So it's just sitting there just being silly.
let's just restart it.
I could disconnect it from the internet and then it would stop.
Not necessarily.
Sign out. Oh, look at that. If this is the solution, it just magically works. It's probably still going to be hung up. Now it really hates us.
Of course it hates us. We're recording it. It doesn't like the fact that we're recording it.
The moment you hit stop, it's just going to work.
Oh, yeah.
Every time. That's what's happened.
Try it. Well, most of the time.
Come on. They don't know that. Also, you may notice hey, look at this. We've got some really cool setup going on here with our video broadcasting. We have switched over. Wow. Hope you're seeing what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I'm saying it.
It's fancy.
Yep.
So this is what happens. Somebody's going to get a seizure here real soon. Hold on. Let's give it a minute. Gather your thoughts, machine.
How about we just hit Control-Alt-Delete and see if it works?
Oh, yeah. Settle down there, Chief.
Ooh,
Holy guacamole. Nothing in particular, but something in
Give it a
particular.
restart.
Yeah. Jeepers. Goodbye.
And hopefully this works. And
Oh, look how fast it restarted. That's amazing.
yep.
This is on 1809. Oh. Where's my Pin option. Oh, we haven't.
No, it's a pin update.
We haven't got it.
Remember, we haven't.
It's taken that
signed in.
long. I've forgotten what step we're at. Lord.
We'll get there. It's working.
Yeah, it's great. I'm just glad this is on a VM.
So am I.
Good grief.
All right. So what we're going
You
to
have
do here
officially broken
is
this machine.
go to Control Delete, and
Yeah, we
we're
are.
going to open up Task Manager.
And we're just going to type it right there.
Yep.
Because we're going to... We got to get into settings, though.
That's easy. Go to PowerShell. You
Oh.
need to put PO in the front of it.
You know,
It's taking the session,
the
isn't
cursor takes focus. Oh my god. It's possessed. Make it stop.
It doesn't like us.
P. Oh.
Here's what you can do, right? Go to Notepad on your host.
No, because you've got me running in enhanced mode.
No.
Oh, I can type it from the clipboard, can't I? Oh man.
Hey, stop blinking.
You guys are getting a treat
No,
here.
there it's going again.
It doesn't. It doesn't like me.
Try the enhanced.
Oh, it can't because I have to do it at just the right moment when the cursor gets. No way.
Turn on enhanced mode and see if it fixes it.
Yeah.
So the difference between enhanced mode and normal mode is enhanced mode is actually going in as a remote desktop session, whereas standard mode is not.
Son of a gun. No.
I think we've done something to that machine.
This is the strangest thing ever,
I've
man.
never seen a VM do this.
You.
Let's shut it down and start it back up and see if that clears it.
Run it as the other user. Boy, this is awesome.
Wow.
Such hope for this.
Yeah.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is how it goes.
Yes, it is.
Oh, so you should know, though, that you can't use enhanced mode with the pin. So that's why we had it out of enhanced mode. You have to be a local desktop. You can't configure your pin through RDP session.
That's right.
If this one doesn't work, we're just punting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sad. While that's gone, I could just go get... I don't know what I'm going to look for. Never mind. Does it work over here if you just do this over here? Wow.
Very much looks like we've broken the session. But we should be able to paste it in there now. And go into PowerShell. There's no control at delete. Control at end.
Yeah. Insert, I think.
Ah, yes, that's right. Insert. Paste.
Ooh. Well, I almost. All right.
Let's see if it keeps taking the session. It's going to keep taking the session, isn't it?
It is. That's all right.
So what we're going to do is start space ms dash settings colon.
This is phenomenal.
Yes, it is.
I can't believe we're still continuing.
No space dash.
What?
ms dash.
Start dash.
No.
MS
Start
dash settings.
space ms dash settings.
That's what I've got.
Oh, okay, I can't see the dash.
It's possible it hasn't had the enter yet. Hey, look at that. Okay. Yeah. So no,
Yeah.
it hasn't fully built the user profile. We broke the profile.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sure. Let's do this. We have hope. All right. Hang on. Oh, that's right. Sign options. Okay.
And that's the
Just
right
gonna
account.
Right, we're gonna go kill that account.
Because it needs to be there.
But then we'd have to wait for it again,
Yep.
probably. Yeah, forget it. This one isn't broken.
Yeah, but you just signed in with the standard account, not the lab
I-
one.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying we could just kill it anyway. Yeah, which one would you delete?
Adam.
Apparently neither.
The last modified being the top one.
Yeah, but I can't.
Actually, the middle one. I can't delete it.
Can't delete it. I'm not allowed to delete them.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we're gonna blow this one up. Move on.
Yeah.
We'll post a comment later and let you know if we got it.
Of course we get it.
This should have worked.
Yeah. But as you can see, it's pretty much a straightforward process. It's just there's some things that are finicky, but once you've got it set up, it actually works really well. We use it extensively internally ourselves, and we have it at customer sites as well. So make sure you check out Scott's blog on it. And I don't know how we're going to cut this, but hey, we'll work something out.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
We might just put a disclaimer at the beginning. Yeah, this doesn't work. It does work.
It does work. We
couldn't.
couldn't get it working in our lab in the time that we spent on it.
Yes.
And that's the
It's
important
probably my
part.
fault.
No, it's more the fact that, look, we're doing this pretty off the cuff, so things don't always work as expected, but they should always work in your environment. If they don't, make sure you either log a ticket with Microsoft or look around on the internet, because there's normally a fix for it.
Yep. And I mean, look, if you get to this point, Stephen will gladly tell you how to fix it in your environment.
So
follow
will I.
along. Once I get it, I'll definitely let you know for sure.
Yeah.
By the time this post comes out, I'll probably have implemented this on all of our machines and be rolling with it. So,
And he probably will have put it into production at his work as well.
oh, that's what I meant. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I should also let you know Steve's coming on site. He's totally coming and to our placing. He's going to come and do this for me instead. He doesn't. Oh, hey Steve. By the way, you want to come visit?
Yeah, yeah. How about I do it after MMS?
Ooh, that sounds great. It's just a short drive over.
Yeah.
You should, come hang out.
Yeah.
Get you some barbecue or something.
Oh, sounds
Be
good
wonderful.
to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you stuck with us this long, this part might make it in. It might not. We'll see.
Yeah.
So until next time, I'm Adam. You can find me on the Twitter at AdamGrossTX.
And I'm Steve. You can find me on Twitter at On-Prem Cloud Guy. And this has been Intune Training, and we've been talking about setting up Windows Hello for Business for Intune. Make sure you check out Scott Duffy's blog post, and we'll have all the links down there underneath us. Thanks.
Woohoo! See ya. Hello, and welcome to a short installment of Intune.training, the place to learn how to use Microsoft Intune, the Steve and Adam Show. Hey, this is just Adam. Steve and I have been working for a couple days now on getting Windows Hello for Business using a PIN to access on-prem resources working, and we've got a video that we'll probably release before this one or at the same time as this one. This is going to be hopefully the end-to-end demo component of the video to show you how it actually is supposed to work. We struggled to get it to work twice in demos, and this is our hopefully the final shot at it here to make it work. So I will kind of quickly summarize, but I believe we're going to release the other video as well because it's got more of the commentary in it. But we want to show you the end-to-end process. So some of the things in here I might not cover as in depth as in the other video, but just kind of want to talk through it. And while I'm talking about the other video, I have made one major change between the old one and this one, or the previous one, is I've separated out my CA onto a different box because, I mean, technically that's really the way you're supposed to do it. In my lab environment, I was just co-locating them. And anyway, since I was redoing everything, I figured I'd give this a shot as well. So to start, I've got a domain controller that I have Azure AD Connect running on, and it is configured to use password hash sync for my user accounts. And so I'm going to get that open here real quick. And then as I mentioned, I've also got a CA with full PKI running, and okay, that's going to take a second, so we'll just jump over here. So anyway, I've got password hash sync running on the Azure AD Connect, and then also in my Intune environment, I've also got the sorry, I've already messed it up here. This is what I'm looking for. I had this open already and I closed it. Okay, so thank you, EdgeDev. Great. Thank you for that. So I'm going to go to aka.ms/DMAC, and I'm going to log in. This is why this is not good. Okay, so okay, so I've got Azure AD Connect running on the domain controller, and I've got password hash sync enabled. So this is where you would change that. You change your user sign in here, and you would enable password hash sync. And I'm not going to go through the process there, but it's pretty straightforward, and we covered it in the previous one. Okay, so then from here we're going to ensure that our device enrollment is configured to enable Windows Hello for Business, and this will ensure that as a user logs into their workstation, they will get prompted to enable Windows Hello. So this is all we want to do, is just change that from not configured to enabled, and then we want to assign that or to deploy that profile to, that did not work. I've got a smaller screen going on here. Oh, sorry. Anyway, so it's going to all users and all devices. So, and that's automatic. So we've enabled that globally for the enterprise for anybody that logs in with Windows Hello for Business, or anybody that logs in with domain credentials, it will prompt them to enable Hello. So that's what the password hash sync from Azure AD Connect is going to do for us. It's going to sync our user accounts to Azure, and then allow us to be able to then sync that Hello for Business config between the two environments so that it's a seamless experience. All right, so that's kind of the background, the setup there. So what we're going to do here is now I'm going to go over to my CA, and I'm going to open up the certificate authority, and in here I've got a couple of existing certificates, and what we're going to do is replace all three of these with a new Kerberos authentication certificate that includes KDC authentication. And then the key here is we're going to add a special URL that will allow this to work outside of or allow clients to be able to see the CRL, the certificate revocation list. Okay, so we're going to go to Manage and go down to our, I'm going to delete this one because that's the one we're going to recreate. Sorry, we've done this a few times at this point. You would not want to go and just randomly delete these. Don't delete templates you didn't custom create. So then I'm going to duplicate the Kerberos ticket or template, and then I'm going to change this to 2012 R2, and then cryptography, we will change that one to key storage, RSA 2048 and SHA-256, and the we're going to supersede all of the existing versions of the templates that are available. So that includes domain controller auth, and Kerberos, because they will all be included in this particular one that we're going to create. The subject name, you want to make sure that it's just set to the defaults there. And I'm just clicking the tabs to make sure. I believe we're all good. And you want to ensure that on extensions that KDC authentication is in fact configured. We're going to hit apply, and sorry, I meant to rename that guy, and it's too late. So we're going to deploy it as copy of, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, so then we're going to go to new certificate template to issue, and we're going to get copy of, and then we can go ahead and delete these guys. And now when we delete them here, it's not actually deleting the template, it's just deleting them from being able to be requested from a machine that wants to request it. The next thing we're going to do is go into properties on the CA itself, and we're going to go to extensions. And this is the key location that we need to put set up this URL. And actually we're going to stop there for a minute. And so these two are tied together, and I don't have IIS running on this machine, so we need to go and install that first, because I did not do that on this one. Ahead of time. I think that's all we need. Shouldn't need to do any of the fancy bits here. I don't think we need, I know that IIS has some advanced authentication, but I don't, here we go, this is what I was looking for. Okay. Basic auth, Windows auth, digest auth. I don't know which of those are specifically required for this to work. I think we're just doing basic auth, but just want to make sure we don't have to go back and do it. So while that's going, I'm going to jump back over to the domain controller for a minute and show you. We also need to export our root cert and go import it as a new profile here. So this is what you're going to end up with. So I'm going to just delete this one and rebuild it so that we have a full end-to-end picture of this. Refresh. Okay. So on my domain controller, I can just go and go to my issued cert here. There's 800 different ways to do this, and this works fine. You're just drilling to the root CA, and then you're going to do copy to file on the root CA. And there's a blog post. Microsoft's got great docs on this. So if you need to have a slower version of it, you can either slow the video down on YouTube, or you can go and read the blog post. Okay, so I've exported the root cert. Let's see, Win10 root CA, and we're going to change the platform to Win10, and the profile configuration here is going to be trusted certificate. And then we just go and select the CA that we want and hit OK and create. Now in my particular environment, I don't have, this is not our normal Intune training environment. So normally you would select a group you'd deploy it to, but in this instance, I don't have a group. And so I'm just going to deploy it to all devices. This is the devices cert. It goes in the root cert for devices. Okay, so let's go back and see if we've got IIS running here. And I really hope this works out properly. So we're just going to go into default website. And what we want to do is we just want to create a new folder. Doesn't really matter where, but in this case we're going to call this CDP. So this is the folder that we're going to provide access to the to the website to use. So we need to go in here and change the security on it. So if we go to advanced sharing, share the folder, we're going to change it to CDP $. Permissions, we're going to add the CA server itself. CA01 should be it. Okay, full control, apply. Okay, just a basic share. And here we're going to go in and add the same thing. And what this particular share, these credentials are going to do is this is going to allow the CA, not only allow IIS to access the CA, but it's also going to allow the CA to publish to this location. So you could host this web service anywhere as long as you put the next pieces in the next stuff I'm going to show you. As long as you point those to a place that it has rights to use to write to. So if we go to add virtual directory, we're going to call this the CDP directory, and we're going to set up a physical path to the C:/CDP, and we're going to test the settings, and I think we're okay there, and believe we're good. We also want to, on default website, we want to go to directory browsing, and we want to enable that. That's an important bit to make sure you do. And then on the configuration editor for the CDP itself, we want to go into system, sorry, I don't have my note in front of me on this one. System dot. No, I'm sorry. Which one is it I'm looking for? Security request filtering. There it is. Okay, so system.webserver security request filtering, and we're going to go set the double escaping to true. And now that we've got that, we should be able to browse to localhost and have, thank you for that, and have, yay. Okay. The next bit is we're going to go and publish to that location. So what we're going to do here is we're going to, this is the web URL that the clients are going to access. So we're going to add crl.asd.net. So it's just an internal URL, and we're going to point it to the CDP. And we're going to now add CA name. And these are just templates these will get populated. Think of these as variables. These are placeholder variables that will get translated when the CRL gets generated. And so you want to make sure you put .crl at the end of that. And hit OK. So now that's a new web URL that the clients will use, and we're going to be able to reference that as well. So let me double check one bit there on the, what's this one? I'm looking at my web, at the doc here, make sure I get the right checkboxes on those. I've done this so many times at this point. Okay, so that's backwards. Okay, so we're going to set that guy, and then we're going to add another item here, and in this case we're going to put the path to the CDP share that we created, and this should match whatever you put here should match what you put in the other one, because essentially we're telling, this one is going to tell the CA to publish this file, and then the other thing told the web service to consume the file. So we want to tell it to publish the CRLs and the Delta CRLs to this location. When we hit apply, it's going to restart the service. So now you see we've got a web URL, we've got a UNC path as well as a web URL. So one is publishing and one is for the consumption. So if we hit OK and we go check our location, we don't have anything yet, but now on our CA we can go and the revoked certs. So this is where we want to publish the revocation list from here, and it already knows where that is, and we did not give it enough rights to do so to our location. So I messed up something there. CA01 CDP dollar should have worked. Let me run that as, I don't think I need to run as administrator, but maybe. I don't believe that's the thing. I think I've just don't have, okay, sorry. Let's go back in here and see if I messed up the pathing. And if I did not mess up the pathing, CA01 CDP dollar. Okay, so then it's just, I don't know if this happened the other day. Should have full control, and should have full control. I'm just going to fix this by giving everyone full control, because you at home can figure this out, I'm sure. And I just don't feel like figuring it out right now. That's not what I want. You should not do this. I promise. You should not need to do this. Just need to set up a share permission that works. Okay, now we got it. All right, so something with my share permissions, whatever. So now we have these guys, and if we refresh our web page, they are there. Okay, so this is important. You have to do this step before you go request the cert on your domain controller. In a production environment with more than one DC, you would obviously, or maybe not so obviously, want to use group policy to set up auto enrollment for your domain controller so they can get new certs published to them. So if we go into your domain controller, this is the current auth that's here, and you'll see we don't have KDC listed. So in this case, we're just going to, I'm going to delete the cert, and I'm going to request a new cert. And as I mentioned, you can just do this with group policy. So I'm going to tell it I want to request from there. And now that's where it came from, and we have KDC auth. And then what we want to do is we want to verify that KDC is there. Sorry. So we see it's got KDC and the other items, as well as we want to make sure that the CRL contains the path to the CRL that we're going to want to access. And that does not like us, so we need to, well, that's what the certificate thinks it needs. Okay, so this is where we're, oh, yes. Aha, yes. If you're playing along at home, you probably know the answer to this one. We need to fix our DNS. Now, previously, whenever I set this up, the DNS went to the domain controller. So I already have this, but so I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to recreate a new DNS record for crl.asd.net, and I'm going to target ca01.asd.net. That should be better for us. Where'd it go? There it is. CRL. So close that guy, and then we probably need to do a ipconfig/flush DNS. Of course, thank you. All right. Just close that browser, and let's just open another browser. And magic, look, there's our CRL, and that's got all of our revoked certificates in it. Okay, so the moment of truth is now upon us. We have gotten all the pieces in place from a server perspective that should, assuming nothing else is wacky, should work. So now I've got a machine here that's just a VM. I'm not an enhanced session. You cannot do this in enhanced session. And I also have the VM configured with a TPM enabled. So you want to make sure you have that before you start this process. Well, technically it's not going to break anything, but you're going to want those things in place before you do this, or else your tests will not work very well. Okay, so now we're going to sit here for just a few minutes while this processes. So if you made it this far, thank you for sticking with us. Oh look, hey, all right, cool. Okay, so we are going to log in with my user account that has this is a user account that is synced from on-premises to Azure AD. And just for reference, go into Active Directory. That user should be listed in my lab users. and his account should be at a2lab.com. So that's how we're doing that. So that credential is being synced between the two, between Azure and my on-premises. You know what? I changed my password earlier today. I don't know which one's going to work. Hopefully that one has synced by now. All right. So now the whole effort here is, and we've talked about this in the previous videos, but in case we don't release all these together and you don't get all that other commentary, the reason we're doing this is going to allow users to sign in with a PIN with Windows Hello for Business using their Azure AD joined device, not hybrid and not domain joined, but just Azure AD only device connected to the business network. So they are physically plugged into your network, or they have VPN established. They cannot just be internet only for this to work. But on the business network, you can sign in with your password, your regular password, and you should be able to get to your on-prem resources anyway. But if you sign in with your PIN, with your Windows Hello credentials, with a PIN, face, or fingerprint, you will not be able to access this on-premises resources unless you do this. And this is using the hybrid join key trust, not hybrid join. This is the hybrid identity, not hybrid Azure AD. This is hybrid identity using key trust model, which key trust allows us to not have to send certificates down to users. And I am surprised that doesn't seem right at all. Yeah. Oh, that's, sorry, squared as a lab. I missed that part. I had expected it to ask us about setting up our PIN, and it has not yet, and that may be a result of Azure AD Sync doing its thing. So give it a minute. So essentially you should be able to log in using your credentials. Oh, that's right, never mind. It's this now, it's doing the pieces here. It's, sorry. So you've got hybrid identity, and you've got a local account, or a local account that's synced to Azure that can then now use an Azure credential, which is your Windows Hello for Business, to access your on-prem resources. So that's pretty much it. We didn't want to have to manage device certificates or doing GPOs or things like that, and so this lets us do this with for Azure AD joined devices specifically. But you can use certificates, and while that's going, I'll show you. So there is a web page that Windows Hello for Business that you can start at, and it describes kind of what I'm muddling up here really poorly. This is what we're doing: Key Trust Modern Managed, and these are the requirements for making that happen. And then there are a bunch of things here, and we kind of started here at this Windows Hello for Business deployment guide, and it really kind of goes off the rails here. And Steve and I mentioned in the previous video, one of the ones that may not make it out, that we tried to get through these guides, and we found that they just really are very disjointed. All the information is here, but it's incredibly impossible to follow. So if you were to follow this guide and you say, I want to set up the single sign-on here, and you follow the next step, which is here, it completely skips out on all of this stuff, which You'll notice I'm on this page and it's not in any of the links off of the main directory, and that's problematic. So this is what you want to follow. This is the Hello hybrid key Windows Hello for Business settings, and it's just odd. So we're going to hopefully be able to submit some edits on the docs here and help get this corrected so that it's a little bit more straightforward as to what we need to do here. And so once you follow the setup for the certificates, then you would go through all these steps, which is what you just watched me go through. So it's got nice screenshots. This is, I mean, there's no reason for us to even write a blog post about this. This is, you've got the video, you've got the commentary, you've got this, and you've got this. You can do it. So it walks you through all of the things that we've done, slightly different order, but ultimately we should end up in the same place here. And here's what we were looking for. Okay, so if we had not already set up the Windows Hello policy, our device would not have gotten that. So it gotten this prompt to set up the pin. So now we've got Hello enabled, and so now we're able to use that. So give me a moment and I will get my pin, my number to type in here. Well, verify. So, and I didn't set up any like hard requirements on, I gotta stop talking and typing at the same time. I don't have any hard requirements on the credentials and how those are supposed to work at this point. So what we're going to do, or what we're going to see now, is that, so I'm logged in as just with my regular domain credentials. And so I should be able to access any of my domain resources. So if I want to hit the DC, I certainly can. I bet you. So how many of you knew that you can just do this? So this is Azure AD join device, logged in with my domain credentials that are synced to Azure, and magic, I'm just on the business network, but I am not domain joined. And yet I can get to these resources. And so that all worked regardless of me doing any of this other stuff. I didn't have to do any of the other stuff that we did. This simply lets us, what am I trying to find here? System. This guy. So see, I'm on the work group. I'm not joined to the domain at all. And yet here I am getting to domain resources. So what we want to do now is, now that we've got a PIN, is we want to sign out. And now I'm going to speed up this process a little bit, because this is a piece that is dependent on Azure AD Connect working and the synchronization process happening. So, wrong thing, sorry. Actually, hang on. Sorry, I'm going to do that over here. Okay, so now that we've got everything configured, you need to ensure that, actually before you do this, you should have done this already. You need to make sure that your AAD sync account is a member of key admins. If it's not in there, then you're going to have problems. So you need to make sure that that is there. And if it is, then once your user logs in for the first time with their PIN and your and then the Azure AD Connect synchronizes the properties, you will see, if you drill down to a particular user, this is what you're looking for, MSDS key credential link. And what you'll see is each of these is an array of properties associated with each device that that user has configured a PIN on in their environment, in your environment. So if we close those guys and we now go back to our machine and we log in, and I just rebooted, so I'm logging in with the Hello credentials. We want to go DC 1, and you can see already we're already getting stuff. So there it is. We are logged in with Hello for Business using Key Trust and we are able to hit domain resources. Let me just show you one last thing. Just in case it wasn't obvious, we didn't really go here and look. So on the client device, you should have a trusted root cert, and that's being pulled down from your Intune policy that we configured. So there it is. That's it. So watch the other video as well, and then I will include links to the documentation on the right order of operations to get everything configured. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.